What's good, everyone? This is Justin Just Rock Ramon from the Just Trek podcast, where elevation is our recreation. Super excited for you to check out this next episode as it's part of the Trek Talk series where I record intro conversations with fellow outdoor enthusiasts. This episode features a previous guest and a big bro to many in the SoCal outdoor community, including myself. He goes by the name Juan Flowers, aka Juan Flowers. Juan is a SoCal-based trekker, backpacker, community leader, mental health advocate, certified California Naturalist, and is the founder of Outdoor Adventures Plus and the Urban Youth Nature Project. Back in the beginning of March, we decided to do an impromptu recording literally right before hosting our final Nature's Palette educational group hike in Vasquez Rocks, which is located in Agua Dulce, California, just 45 minutes outside of LA. It is a high desert geological wonder where famous movies and TV shows have been filmed, such as Star Trek, The Flintstones, Planet of the Apes, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Austin Powers, and so much more. We chatted about his evolution into becoming a certified California naturalist, his motivation to deepen his understanding of the natural world, highlights from our Nature's Palette educational trek series, and his desire to inspire inner city youth to connect with nature. The conversation emphasizes the importance of conservation, continuous learning, and fostering a deeper appreciation for the natural world. There is both a video and audio version on Spotify, a video version on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@JustTrekOfficial, audio versions on Apple Podcasts, and on all the other major streaming platforms. We highly encourage you to watch the video versions as we were able to record out in nature with the iconic spires of Vasquez Rocks as our backdrop. All right, let's get to trekking and get into this episode. All right, y'all, we are back at it, back outdoors, out here in Vasquez Rocks. And right next to me, we got a very special guest, my big bro, and also a previous guest on the Just Trek podcast. To the right of me, we got Juan the Don, Juan Flowers, Big Cavs crew represent, the big boss dog at Outdoor Adventures Plus, and also the Brown Naturalist, his new alias. Welcome to the Trek Talk series, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing today, and how are you enjoying this podcast studio setting?
This is a very beautiful setting. It's actually one of my favorite settings as well. So yeah, it's great to be back, and it's been a while since I've been here. And well, it's been a while since we did my episode back in 2021, I think.
Wow, it's been 3 to 4 years. I think you were episode 32, 33?
33.
So what's really awesome about this recording right here is that he was a previous guest, but on the Trek Talk series, we like to record out in Mother Nature. It's a bit shorter. It's usually just us catching up. But the reason I wanted to bring Juan back onto the show today is because he's gone through an evolution of sorts, and I'm really proud of him. He is a certified California naturalist.
Hey!
And it's just been really awesome to see that growth and his evolution because, we've organized some pretty iconic community collaboration group hikes from doing Saddle Peak in Malibu, which led into a Sunset Summit Cypher.
At Topanga Overlook.
At the Topanga Lookout Tower, the abandoned fire tower area. And then one of our signature event series is a Star Wars The Mandalorian group hike called This Is the Way. But to bring it back to why I wanted to bring Juan on, just to see him grow throughout the years, being a leader in the outdoor community, hosting group hikes, nature cleanups, doing his IG Live podcast series, he decided to go down the path of learning more about the natural world. What just inspired you to do that, to go down that road of learning more about the natural world and become a certified California naturalist?
Well, I think what it is that when you really think about it, we spend so much time outdoors, hiking, backpacking, trail running, whatever it is that we're doing, visiting beautiful places like this, you start to wonder what certain things are, what lives there, what can you eat, what can't you eat off of the plants, to survive while you're out there. There's just so much to the natural world in itself that it basically sparks one's interest to really fully immerse themselves into it and truly understand it and look at it from a different perspective. not only that, I think, my wife, Becky, she was an inspiration. She was like, there's classes like that, that you can take and stuff. And she started looking into things. And then you were like, bro, you should go do something like that. Like, you'd be so good at it and blah, blah. And then it was just like, shoot, I mean, it's like, why not? We're already doing this, and I already love the history of places and just the fauna, the flora that's in the area. And I always try to do my due diligence and do my homework before leading a hike, so that at least it sounds like I know what I'm talking about, and not just be out there rambling and not knowing anything about the area. So I always love the fun facts and the tidbits and stuff. So yeah, the natural world is a very beautiful place. And now, not saying that you have to be certified to appreciate it, but I'm pretty sure we'll talk about Nature's Palette here in a bit. But the point is to basically slow down, stop, observe, and just take it for what it is.
So when I found out that you did become a California certified naturalist, I remember I was really proud of you. I congratulated you. And then I was like, hey, you want to do a collab where you are we partner with you as this new form of yourself, new version of yourself connected to the natural world, and put your skills to the test? Do you remember that conversation? I think I was in Las Vegas when we had this conversation.
You were in Vegas, and I was at work in the lab doing some stuff, and yeah, it's very vivid. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was in October of last year. And we kind of just set everything into motion, and we were trying to figure out a name for the series, and we had hung up off the phone, and then I remember calling you back. I said, dude, I think I got it. And you're all, what? I said, the title for the series, and you're all, well, what is it? And I said, Nature's Palette. And he's like, oh, he goes, yep, that's it. We're just going to go with that.
I gave you props. Like, that's it. That's the one. How'd you come up with that name? Were you just like, did you come across something, or it just sparked in your mind, like anything that led you to that name?
I was literally pondering it, and I think it was like 10 minutes before I had called you back. And I was just thinking about it. I was like, well, what can it be? Like, it has to be something like, and I thought it was perfect because I love art. I'm an artist myself. And when you look at nature and you look at the expanse of it and the creation story of it and just everything in it, and you think about a painter, with a blank canvas and just taking the color off of his palette and just basically dabbling something on there and putting in some trees, basically like your Bob Ross in a sense, putting some happy little trees here and there. And I said, nature's nature. I said, what? And then the nature palette thing came in. I said, yeah, that's what it is.
And I remember we were like, how are we going to go about it? Is this going to be an ongoing series, a 2 to 3 part series? And I think we landed on initial talks, have it being just 2, but then we opened it up to 3 because we thought 3 would be a good enough number where people could get a different flavor from each group hike. And refresh my memory, like, I think it was mainly you that chose the 3 different destinations or natural spaces that we would explore and learn to slow down and learn the history of the land, more about the local flora and fauna. Like, could you break down the 3 trails that we chose? And actually, what's really cool right now, as we do this recording, we're on the cusp of hosting our final one of Nature's Palette here at Vasquez Rocks. So you're getting a very in the moment. We're in the Nature's Palette zone right now. We just hosted 2, but I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so I remember the first one. It was after we did Boney Mountain. The one that almost killed me. The
private trek mission?
The one that almost killed me. We did that, and then you suggested the first one, actually. And I was like, okay, we'll do that one. And I said, but I'll look up, I'll map out the trail to kind of, get a guesstimate of the mileage and the elevation gain and how long it's going to take and all that. And I think we mapped one out pretty good, and then we decided to change it last minute because there was an overgrown trail at some point, so we kind of shortened it and just did the route going down into the canyon by the waterfall, and then coming back out, and then heading by the Satwiwa village, where they have the Ap, which is the Shumash house that they have there on the premises. But then after that, I was just kind of like, you know what, let's do it to where we curate the experience to be like a grassland / woodland, with our riparian habitat in it. Let's do one where it's coastal so we can explore tide pools and stuff like that. And then I said, okay, what other habitat, what other ecosystem can we visit? And I said, boom, Vasquez Rocks.
For the grand finale.
It's high desert. You have chaparral. You have a lot of juniper trees here. You got a lot of different, flora and fauna as well. And the geology of this place is just amazing. We decided to basically land the last one here. It was one of those things that we were just kind of like, let's just do it here, and we made it happen. And I know probably in an hour or so we'll have all the attendees, and just to be able to show them this magical place.
It's been quite the ride, quite the experience, hosting the first two ones. And also just to backtrack a little bit, why I personally was super excited about Just Trek and Outdoor Adventure Plus coming together and offering this Nature's Palette event series is that it's much different than the other community group hikes, community events that we've done in the past. A lot of the times I feel that we're hosting these peak bagging adventures and showing you these hidden gems and lesser known trails, which we still do. Mm-hmm. I mean, even part of this series, some of these trails are way peaceful, lesser known. But I thought it was just like something unique and something different to offer the SoCal hiking and outdoor community, learning how to slow down, learning how to appreciate, learning how to identify the things so that when you go on your own journey or with friends, the whole trail, the whole outdoor area is more enhanced. It's like in HD now, mm-hmm. because now you're noticing certain things. You can identify it, and now you can actually slow down and just learn from the local wildlife and from the plants, like how are they growing, like what's happening here. So it was definitely a thought that came to fruition, and mm-hmm. to put it into action is like the most rewarding thing as event producers, community organizers, because I feel like the first two were such a big success. The first one, like you said, Rancho Sierra Vista and the Boney Mountain Peak area, on the western edge of the Santa Monica Mountains. And then we went closer to the coast, Point Doom, literally like raw coastline beaches. We could see dolphins. You could see the seals playing with each other.
Red-tailed hawks were out there. That was probably the most that I ever seen. That many red-tailed hawks in an area. I mean, it was just crazy. And all they were doing is just soaring, just taking in the breeze and just basically riding their own wave.
Yeah, it's always a special sight when you see the birds suspended literally in midair, like they're frozen in time because of the wind. They're just coasting, maybe checking to see like what prey is around them, but they're just an autopilot at that point, And your new alias, the Brown Naturalist. How did you get that name? Did someone give that to you? Actually,
no. So one of my main things about getting into this, being a California naturalist, was, throughout conservation in history, there's always a white man's face attached to it. And I'm not saying that they didn't do their due diligence in discovering things and naming things and so forth. But, I wanted people who look like me, people of color, to be inspired to say, you know what, if he can do it, I can do it. And, even the younger generations, to be able to be some kind of role model or just a face that they can put to, something. It was a means of basically creating a new path for that generation to follow in, knowing that there's somebody out there that looks like them, who speaks Spanish, who can relate to their struggles of being inner city youth, whatever the case, being children of immigrants, so forth and so forth. I mean, I could get into a whole podcast episode about that alone, but the main purpose was to change the narrative in conservation, and put a brown face to it. So being the brown naturalist, I dig down into my roots, being from, great grandparents being from Zacatecas and Michoacan, Mexico. One of my great grandparents is from the Chichimeca tribe. They're in Zacatecas. Very indigenous looking, and as generations go on, they start to change because of all the mixture of blood from Spanish and all the stuff that had combined. But connecting to your roots is basically where it should start, and knowing that your ancestors started with nothing. There's no skyscrapers or anything around them. It was all the lay of the land. Learn how to manage it. Learn to, what to eat, what not to eat, what the uses for each plant was for. Whether it was to cure any kind of head lice, to stomach ailment, to covering a burn possibly. So you look at all that stuff, and you tie it all together, and I think it just came to me, and I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to make a bold statement, and I'm just going to say, I'm the brown naturalist. And yeah, that's just kind of how it came to, and here I am.
I remember when you first told me the name that you were thinking, and I was like, oh, that's bold. That really stands out. So when you first told me the name, I don't know why, every time I would read it or say it out loud, I would keep thinking and saying, oh, the brown dam naturalist. And the reason I kept thinking that is because we have a local hike, Brown Dam.
Oh, yeah.
Waterfall.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't know why it just kept going into my mind, the word dam. So every time I would read it in your bio or say it out loud, I'd always end up saying the brown dam naturalist. It kind of works.
It does, yeah.
That's even more bold, adding the dam,
Making more of a statement, right? You're like,
Yeah. So when you're feeling extra spicy and you're trying to let people know who you are, you add the word dam to your alias.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, because I know people will probably see me on my profile and be like, oh, I remember just the first time that I met you, you're like, dude, you're big.
Oh, funny story, y'all. First time me and Juan met, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
5 years ago? And we met up. He hosted a small group hike at Griffith Park. And, we had been DMing a ton and getting familiar with each other. When I saw him in person, I know he was a tall person and bigger, but he literally looked like an NFL lineman when I first met him. Huge calves too, just like me. I have these bursting calves, they look like sequoia tree trunks.
Yeah, that was a great time. But yeah, that's what I was saying is a lot of people are like, oh, look at me on my profile. And then I'm pretty sure when they meet me, they're like, damn. So yeah, I guess it is kind of fitting, right? The brown dam naturalist.
There you go. You have a version 2 of your name. So you've hosted, we've co-hosted, but you specifically are the reason this event even goes, because without you being a certified naturalist, there is no Nature's Palette series. So from the first 2 events, being that guide of dropping all that knowledge at Boney Mountain, the Rancho Sierra Vista area as the first event, and then going to Point Doom, from hosting those first 2 community group hikes, these educational trek hikes, has there anything that really stood out to you or surprised you from guiding those hikes, whether it be from the people that attended, any certain feedback, anything really stand out to you in your mind?
I think one of the things that people don't know is a lot goes into the process of preparing oneself to be able to educate people. It's like being a California naturalist. Just because I took the course, it doesn't mean that my education stopped there. The education part continues, and it's going to continue throughout my life. The more things that I host like this, whether it's educational, a hike or a workshop or whatever it may be, it's a continual learning curve, because you're going to learn as time goes on about the way a piece of land has maybe either changed or
Hey, that was good, huh? Them cat reflexes, y'all.
or has remained the same or whatever, but at the same time, you think about it, and I think the continued education part of it, I always amaze myself, and the reason why I say that is because I wasn't a studious kid growing up. I didn't pay attention. I wasn't that kid who paid attention in class. I was always talking, goofing off, so that's the type of person I was. I didn't retain a lot of things, and it wasn't until I was older where I went back to school and started to learn about science and the history part of it, and man, I was like, why didn't I pay attention in schools? I guess it amazes how the human brain works when you're actually invested in something.
Yes, amen.
When you learn about what you love, it sticks. And then from it sticking, you're wanting to share that knowledge with people. And I think the other amazing thing too is about this series is the fact that everybody who's attended, we have people who've attended or attending all three. We have people who joined maybe on one, they didn't attend the next one, and then are coming back for the third one, or maybe this is their first time. And I guess what I aim for is to give you the sense of curiosity like a kid. To be able to be a kid again, to say, oh, like, well, what does that do? Or, well, what does this do? Or you look at something and you look at it through the eyes of your younger self and allow yourself to be amazed and awed by what's around you. Like, I come here and I look at these rocks and I'm like, man, I can't wait to climb them, because when you're younger, your parents are going to bring you to a place like this because there's no way that they want you to climb up that thing, and they're going to be yelling at you the whole time and all that. But I think being able to do it with a good friend, my brother, and to bring a series like this to the community, something completely different, has definitely been a highlight of this journey of being an outdoors person and then continuing and evolving into a naturalist, because there's so many places to explore and so many places to be able to take people and to continue to educate them about places. But it's not only about the education part of what's around us, but it's how to conserve it, how to preserve it, as well as being able to bring people out to conservation efforts in a sense of, rewilding the wild, meaning replanting stuff, or, like what you did at Bologna Creek, where you took a group out, and you joined Bologna Creek, what was it, Reserve or Preserve?
Friends of Bologna Creek.
Friends of Bologna Creek, being able to help them to take care of that area by picking up trash, Trash is a major part of everything that we do, and preserving these landscapes is a must.
And just to add on top of that, I feel like with this series especially, we're really deepening that connection to the natural world so that you learn to love it.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you only take care of the things that you love.
Exactly.
Not the things you like.
Yep, right there.
The things you love. And that's what's really happening underneath the surface with Nature's Palette, with any of our group hikes and community events. We want to be that catalyst of you being curious and then learning to love the trail, your local mountains, the local habitat, so that you actually give a damn to join trail restoration efforts, trail maintenance efforts, nature cleanups. Maybe you get into environmental policy, whatever that path leads you down, as long as it leads you down to becoming a better outdoor steward. I think me and Juan have done our job, right?
Yeah, and we'll continue to do so. I mean, it doesn't stop. With every group hike, it's the same thing. You tell people to respect the land, stay on trail, and if you pick up a piece of trash, hey, great. Give it to me, I'll put it in my bag. we'll carry it out. It doesn't matter, because we want to continue to explore these places. And a very important thing that was said to me recently was, you try to leave not only something for the next generation, but in Native belief, it's to prepare for 7 generations. So the importance of 7 generations, you may not see 7 generations from now, but what you do now is of so much importance to lay out that path for that 7th generation to continue to make the impact, and more so when they're around.
Getting deep right now. I love it. It's all about the future and the future generations.
Yes.
I just want to mention something real quick before we wrap this up, because we are hosting the Final Nature's Palette in 15 minutes. And it's my highlight from the series thus far, even though we haven't technically concluded it yet, has been literally just watching the evolution of Juan, my big bro, seeing him reinvent himself, step into a new purpose of being a certified California naturalist. I just love it when people reinvent themselves and go down a new purpose. You can really sense it and feel it. And even when you're taking the naturalist courses, you just had this like pep in your step and how you talked. You know, I was like, oh, he's finding himself again. You know, because throughout, you know, organizing Outdoor Adventure Plus and curating these things, like a lot of you don't know behind the scenes, like a lot of times we're like questioning, like, should we keep doing this? What kind of new experience can we do? What can I offer differently? And you went down the naturalist route and just such a natural at it. I noticed this many years ago, you know, you just sharing the history of the land, of the trails. If you hadn't told me you were a certified naturalist, I would have assumed a while back. But I just wanted to give you your props, and I know this is you're going to keep going down this journey. You're only going to get better with the knowledge and how you present the information. And I think what I'm really excited for you is a big part of your new purpose is inspiring the urban youth, because you have a new project.
Yes. Yeah.
What is that?
It was a capstone project for to become a certified naturalist. It was just basically something that you would make up and say, this is what I'm going to do. And it was basically up to me and up to everybody else in the class to either carry it out after we left the class. And I said, you know what, I think I'm going to do it. So I came up with the name, the Urban Youth Nature Project. And it was basically to inspire inner city youth to the outdoors. Because me growing up in LA and being in the area that I grew up in, I didn't have access to nature. My family alone was in an outdoorsy family, and I didn't discover this until later in life. And to be able to provide that access and diversify the outdoors in the process, like, that's the end goal. The end goal is to set these kids up, to give them an outlet rather than being on their phones or being out in the streets and getting into trouble. Showing them that, like, hey, like, you can do this. You can pursue a career in the outdoors if you really want to. Like, but let me ooh and ah you with what is out there right now, and you'll find your niche. You'll find where you fit in and what it is that you want to do, whether it's conservation, whether it's rehabilitating an area with plants and animals or whatever, to, you know, being a mentor to younger youth, you know, as they come along. So yeah, it's definitely a goal to get that up and running. You know, there in Bakersfield, California, where I reside now and where I call home. And hopefully, eventually in the future, once that gets up and running, I would love to take it to other cities. And especially, like, bring it back to Los Angeles, where I grew up at, and being able to offer something to those kids of neighborhoods where I was raised.
A beautiful project, an intentional project. I love the growth, Juan. And before we conclude this, any shout outs you want to give out there? I know the Outdoor Adventure Plus family has grown quite a bit the past 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, it has. We've had people come and people go, but you always have those people who you know when you found your people, and people like Rudy, good friend.
He's behind the camera. Mr. Casanova helping us out on set.
You got Rudy. Diego has been day one. He took his chance and joining us on a trip to Pinnacles National Park, and he's been along for the ride since. Grant is a new addition. He was a solo hiker, and then all of a sudden he joined us on our first. He joined us for his first group hike at the This Is the Way Part 2 last year, and like a year and a half later, he's a part of the crew now, and he's actually leading. Patty is another one. Hurry up and get better, so that you can be back out here with us. But Patty, I met her actually here at Vasquez Rocks for our 2nd year anniversary.
Oh, it was here.
She hiked with us, and that's where I met her. So, this community is so vast, and it's always growing. And one of the coolest parts of it is getting to know a lot of different people. I met you, I spoke with you, we DM'd, and I was just like, oh, this guy will never give me the time of day. But
and here we are.
Yeah, and here we are, right? 5 years later, literally, because you came out, I think it was the beginning, 4 years of 2021 when you came out. You brought Matt out. I met Matt, made a good friend through him. Made friends with Vic and Beto. And there's just so many great people in this community that you can't just help to be, excited to meet the next group of people and seeing who you're going to connect with. And one of the big parts of why we do what we do is because it's not only to be intentional with every interaction that we have, it's also to be impactful while we do it, and also to be inspirational, so that someone else is inspired to say, you know what, I want to do what he's doing. And just go from there.
Amen to that. Shout outs to your team. I love the team that you've built around you. It really shows the kind of person you are, everyone that you've surrounded yourself with. Very real people, very genuine people, and that's why they support you in the way that they do. Rudy, who's behind the camera, is always the most helpful person, helping take photos, helping sweep, and it only made sense that he's like a leader in your group now. Like, I feel like he was a free agent for a while, and he was ready to get picked up, and I couldn't imagine a better squad, better team.
Man, there's so many great people out there, and I'm pretty sure there's, you just gotta, shoot your shot and say, hey, like, would you be interested in leading? And I think with Rudy, it was like hands down, he was like, yeah, I'll do it. It was like, didn't hesitate or anything. He was like, yeah, I'll do it. I think it was only a few months that I had met him, but literally he's one of those people, like, a few others who, when you meet them, it's like you've known them your entire life. It's like you went to school together, you guys hung out, and growing up and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely one of those relationships, and those are the relationships you want to build.
You're getting a lot of love on this pod, Rudy. All right, so we actually got to go because I think it's close to 3. But that wraps up another episode on the Just Trek podcast, Trek Talk Series Edition, featuring Juan, the founder of Outdoor Adventure Plus, the Brown Naturalist, the Brown Dam Naturalist. And we're just going to conclude it like that. Thank you for hopping on, my brother. And let's get this event on and popping.
Let's do it.